Welcome back to Turning the Page. I'm Donnie Morse of Confetti Antiques and Books, and we have with us again today Alan Chenworth, who has written his book, A Guide to Gold Panning in Utah. Alan, we've been talking a lot about gold panning and about nuggets and things, but tell us how you got started in this, or your first time, your first experience panning.
Okay, I guess I go way back. My grandfather was a rock hound, and he would take us out in the desert and we'd chase topaz and trilobites and redhorn corals and whatnot. And as I got older and spent more time with him and rock hounding, I spent a lot of time in his little rock room, is what we called it, his workshop in the basement, full lapidary set, saws and grinders and polishers and all the tools to turn it into jewelry. And I spent, I can't tell you how many hours down there working. But I noticed a stack of magazines in the corner, Rock and Gem and Lost Treasure. And I'm flipping through them. He told me I could take a bunch of them, and I started reading them. And there was articles on prospecting, gold mining and metal detecting, and they really caught my eye. And I spent more and more time focusing on the gold. Until I think I was about 15, I asked my mom for a gold pan. And she gave me some work, and I earned some money, and I went down and I chose my first gold pan. I was a bit of a romantic. I figured if the 1849 prospectors could handle a mean steel pan, that was good enough for me. So I left all the new high-tech good pans behind and got a steel gold pan. And I went over to Snake Creek. I'm from Heber, grew up in Heber, and that's over on the west side of the valley. And I camped there at one of the local, just below one of the local mines, and blued my pan on the fire. And in the morning I got up and I went to the creek and I panned it down. And there was a lot of black sand, and more black sand. I couldn't find any gold. And I spent a couple hours panning on that creek, got disappointed and left. And put the pan away, and it stayed put away for several years. Graduated high school. The summer after high school, I ended up the Cottonwood Canyons and pulled my old pan out again, and same result. I didn't find anything. Put it back away. I spent a couple years in Brazil, went to college. I was up in Logan, and one of the stores in Logan was a little rock and gem shop, and I was in there to get some stuff for my grandpa. And I noticed gold pans and sluices in the corner and asked him about it. And he mentioned there was a place near Logan, about 20 miles away, that I could actually go and expect to find some gold. So I dug out my steel pan, I somehow brought it with me, headed down to the canyon, and sure enough, I found gold on my third pan. I found a speck of gold, just a itty bitty little flake. And that's all it took. I was hooked. I gotta say, gold fever is real. It gets in your blood, and it changes your perspective. Can be a bad thing, but it can also be a good thing if you can keep it under control.
What I take from your experience is you had a desire, and on your own you went out and you were unsuccessful. You went to a guide, in this case the guy at the store, and he told you where to go, and you were successful.
Yeah.
And that's what you've tried to do, try to recreate in your book, is to help the amateur find places where he can very well be successful.
Right. There's two common sayings with gold. The first is gold is where you find it. That's pretty self-explanatory. The second is, if you want to find gold, look where they already found it. There's been people looking for gold across this world for 7,000 years. And they've checked just about everywhere. So a little bit of research on where they've actually found it can cut your odds.
Well, that sounds reasonable to me. Now, before we went to break, we kind of talked also about the legality of being able to just go look for gold on a creek or a river somewhere. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How do I know it's okay to go pan here?
Okay. Pretty much you can pan in any creek across the state. Federal land, BLM land, forest land, does allow you to pan and prospect and mine and keep what you find. State land, similar requirements. I think the state wants you to get a mineral collecting permit. It's like, I don't want to give a number. It's cheap, $5 I want to say. It's not very much money. And then you can do rock hounding or mineral collecting on state lands. The things you got to watch out for is first, private property. There's private property scattered all across the state, even in places where you wouldn't otherwise think there is. So you got to make sure you're on government land. And the second would be mining claims. There's a pretty good chance if you found gold there, that someone else already found gold there, and there are claims in the area. So you can go to the BLM office or even online and download a list of active claims in a given area. And with a map, you can determine which areas are open and which areas aren't. So there are places all across the state with gold, and you can mine them if you can find an open section of creek. And that's the hard part. I have claims. I know a lot of other people that have claims. But one of the advantages we have here is there are local clubs that also have their own claims. And if you're a member of the club, you can use their claims and keep what you find.
And do you tell, it's in the book, how to find those clubs?
It is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting. You know, I think, you know, again, finding gold would just be, I don't know, exciting, and it would, like you say, kind of catch the fever, I would think.
It is. With gold mining, it's not about the money. It's about the excitement of finding gold. It's the chase, or the hunt, so to speak.
So, Alan, tell us a little bit about some of the specific places that you have been successful with that people can go and actually find gold.
One of my favorite places down in the Henry Mountains.
Well, Henry Mountain, that's a pretty big area.
It's a big area. And there is a semi-commercial grade placer deposit down there. A very large area with gold, both BLM and federal land.
And somebody's got a gold,
state land.
Somebody has a claim on that, or?
I have claims there. One of the local clubs has claims down there. And there's actually one of the private commercial mines down there has a public area that they maintain for people to go and pan. It's kind of a neat thing. They've provided a spot. It's actually a pretty good spot with easy access that people can go and pan, so they'll stay out of the commercial areas and away from the heavy equipment for safety.
Huh. And you can keep what you find there?
Yep. And
in the book you tell us how to find that spot?
Yeah. And if you do find anything really worth keeping, all they would like is you let them know where you found it. So, yeah, there's some great places in Utah to go and have some fun, get some sunshine, some exercise, and have a realistic chance to find some gold.
Now, finding gold, will we find silver at the same time? Do they found together or
yes
not?
And no. Silver isn't commonly found as a native metal. It does happen rarely. Most of the gold you will find in Utah is alloyed with silver.
Oh, okay.
You know, some of the mines, the Tusher Mountains, for example, they ran high silver content. And some of the gold that you'll get, I think one assay I saw ran about 63% gold, and most of the rest of that was silver.
Hmm.
So most of your gold will have some silver in it.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So Alan, as one last thing, earlier we talked about somewhere near Spanish Fork here, 15, 20 miles away, that people can find gold. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, the location I'm referring to is American Fork Canyon.
Oh, Spanish Fork Canyon, no gold. American Fork Canyon, gold.
Quite a bit of gold. Most of the gold in the canyon is very, very fine. It's flour gold, and you will expect to find it in virtually every pan. So it's abundant.
Really?
But it's fine.
When you say flour gold, you're not talking about like a flour. You're talking about wheat flour, right?
Yes, about the size of the flour that you cook with.
Okay.
Now, it isn't all flour gold. There are bigger pieces. I've pulled out small sugar grain sized chunky pieces. And there have been nuggets found in American Fork Canyon.
Okay.
Now I've got a nugget. It's not from American Fork Canyon, unfortunately. This is a California nugget. And I just brought it for reference, for scale. This one weighs about 2 grams. The nuggets that were found in American Fork Canyon were about 1/4 of an ounce, or 8 grams. So they were about 4 times heavier than this nugget is. So there are some good sized nuggets to be found.
So those are like $500 nuggets?
Yes, or more. Nuggets sell for more than the value of gold.
Oh, really?
And to be fair, your odds of finding one like that are not very good in American Fork Canyon. The gentleman that found this one, or those two, he had to use a dredge, and he moved about 20 feet of overburden to get to the nuggets that were clear at the bottom on bedrock.
Really?
And it was an entire summer project.
Okay.
But they're there.
Again, not an occupation, a hobby.
It's a great hobby. Yeah. You don't want to go out with the intent of getting rich, or you'll get burned out fast. But if you want to go have some fun, find some gold, and occasionally you will pay for your gas or make a little profit, but not consistently, then it's a great hobby.
Alan, can I hold that?
Sure can.
That's so heavy. Very, very heavy. That is so cool. I hope the camera can see that good. That is just amazing. And this is not a piece that somebody's taken a bunch of like flour gold and melted, and this is actually the size that somebody found it right out of the ground.
Yeah, I actually found this one. And like I said, this was a California nugget, and I was using a dredge in a fairly large creek. But it was just in bedrock, wedged in a crack. And as I dredged down and uncovered that crack, I could see just a little glint of gold, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And underwater, it looked like it was 3 inches long. I was actually disappointed when I got to the surface, and it was only a 1-inch nugget. But yeah, it's a California nugget, but you can dredge in Utah. Nuggets are found in Utah. And I've seen some pretty decent nuggets. Pea size is not uncommon in some of the regional placer deposits.
Well, this is exciting, and I really hope that anybody who has an interest out there comes in and picks up your guidebook, because like you, I have gone out myself without knowing what I'm doing and tried to find gold, and I was unsuccessful. I'm actually excited this spring and summer to use your book and to go get me a good pan and go out and see if I can't find some with my son and my family. But you're a geologist, you're a semi-professional gold hunter, shall we say. Have you been skunked?
All the time. In fact, I was down in the Henry Mountains looking for a known placer deposit with maps of the area showing the placer deposit, and I couldn't find anything. I spent all day and found 2 specks. 2 tiny little specks of flour. And I've since found nuggets in the same area.
Oh.
So it's where you find it.
It's where you find it. So in essence, persistence is the only way to guarantee you'll find it.
Yeah, you can't just go to the first likely creek and put it in a pan and expect to find something. It's going to take some practice learning how to pan, and it's going to take a little bit of reading the stream to find out where to dig and what to look for when you're there.
Well, again, we're excited to have your book in our store. We'd like to invite anybody who'd be interested to come in, pick up a copy here at Confetti Antiques and Books. Alan, thanks for being with us, and we're just excited to have your book in our store.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for having me.
You bet.